I call myself more a free thinker, even though I identify as liberal. I mean, I'm a registered Democrat.
Well, that's what liberal
Democrat
means.
Usually. Yes.
Okay.
I'm registered Democrat. I vote liberal, vote Democrat normally. Although it's not necessarily the party I'm looking at, it is usually the person, and it's and there have been a couple of Republicans that are okay. Like at one point, Ron Paul was cool because the only thing I don't like about him. The only thing I don't like about him really is the fact that he wants to privatize everything, which is wrong because there's some things that
That's the only thing you don't like about Ron Paul. I don't want to make this
as far as I understand. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the rest of his stances. However, it's just that I like the way that he thinks about economics.
Okay.
I like how he thinks about economics.
Anyway, so on before I get upset, go ahead.
Sorry, but the economy is the most important thing as far as politics is. At least it has been up until this point.
Okay.
So, because economics, our economy is shit. Let's not have any delusions about that.
But in terms of this case, though, what do you think?
In terms of this case,
yeah.
Well, in terms of this case, however, yes, we unfortunately do have a large conservative population, and where you have conservatives, it's not necessarily I want to be conservative about my money and all that. I'm rich and
as well.
Well, I worked hard for this. I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. It's not about that. It's more like it's a bandwagon where you have the conservatives are like, well, if I'm going to identify as conservative and vote Republican, and I'm going to be conservative about money and be pure capitalistic and everything, then I have to be a Bible pounding Christian, and I have to say like, oh well, Leviticus 18:22 says homosexuality is evil, and oh, and by the way, Paul says effeminate people and homosexuals will go to hell, and women will go to hell if they don't submit to their husbands. And you see how this whole thing landslides into a narrow-minded thing. And I'm not going to say that the left isn't equally bad as well, because they do have some screwed up people too. But the point is,
I do think
when you have the bandwagon.
I do think that there are Republicans who are fiscally conservative and actually socially liberal. They exist. I know some. They're far and few between, but they do exist. But you're right. Most of the time there is a sense, especially in places like Florida, Texas, whatever, where it's kind of the zeitgeist or whatever in the way people think in those places about conservatism. It's like a whole kit and caboodle. It's like all or nothing. So I think it definitely plays a role in this case in terms of allowing the parents to actually make it more about a homosexual thing or gay thing and really less about the issue at hand, because I honestly, even though I'm sure some people would disagree, even though, it's two girls or whatever, I think even if it were a man and a woman, I don't think it would be as big of a deal. I don't think they would have, obviously the parents would, if it were a man and a woman, the parents wouldn't have gotten involved to this extent. It would have been an 18-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl, and I don't think the parents would have cared at all. So obviously it's a gay issue here, and that plays into a place like Florida where you have people who are really highly conservative and people who have a lot of money. Some of them do, especially in places like where she's from. Apparently, I don't know, but from what Erica's telling me, so I think it definitely plays a role. And I hope that what I find though, unfortunately, is that a lot of times I've always thought when I was growing up, people who have more money typically are more educated. You typically, not always, but and a lot of times people who are more educated are typically more open-minded, liberal, or whatever. A lot of the time, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
But if you're talking about an older because you're talking about older generations, I think that this other girl's parents are older.
Yes.
And she, the other girl, from just what I've read, the facts that she was like in the IB program, that is above and beyond. I gifted my oldest daughter was the IB program, and you have to be selected for that. And there's this very number.
It's like the National Honor Society. I mean, I always thought that was a cult.
Yeah, it is kind of, because you really can't do anything else. And the fact that she was an athlete and she was on the, she was on the basketball team too. So I'm sure these parents had they had the rug pulled out from underneath them when this came out. I mean, they probably had blinders on and saw what they wanted to see. And, so it makes sense. If you really look back at it with an open mind, it makes sense how this has become this.
Progressed and, how it's happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying, it's a bandwagon. I mean, when you got people, we have people identifying as a certain political party or certain political persuasion, they tend to take everything and, hook, line, and sinker what the extreme of that side takes. I mean, it takes a free thinker to not go to those extremes and find a balance, which unfortunately are few and far between.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. I think we're getting better odds, though. I really do. College is teaching, there's a lot of liberalism that's being taught in college now, and for the good.
Yeah.
And I think we're definitely seeing a shift. That's just with the fact that most Americans agree that homosexuals should be able to marry. I mean, we think it's stupid.
Right. Right.
Exactly. And for my parents, it wouldn't have even been on the ballot. I mean, that wasn't even up for discussion. You didn't talk about that. So, and I had closed-minded parents. Still kind of do. But
I'm fortunate to not have closed-minded parents.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, right.
I said I am fortunate that my parents are not generally closed-minded. I mean, my mother is quite intelligent and she's pretty liberal herself, and she sees things for what it is. So
that's good. Yeah.
I mean, I got in trouble in American government for being the same way, and my teacher is very conservative, right? She's like, your son has some very weird views for someone of his age, and my mother's like, well, duh. If you're not appalled, you're not paying attention.
Well, my mom is very open-minded, but my extended family is very, very conservative. I come from Dallas, Texas, and it's just like that here, very conservative generally speaking. And I don't know where I came from. I guess because I'm gay and everything that I was made different or whatever, but I'm just really, really liberal, always have been. And so it's really great when you have parents who are like that, because really not only just in terms of political stuff, but in terms of you growing up and accepting you for who you are. And I have a question for you, Erica. Since you kind of know her family somewhat, or you know of them at least, then do you know how they do you know if Kate identifies as a lesbian, or is she bisexual, or what's that about? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
I don't. Nope. I just know that the family's really open, that Kelly is just really loving and accepting, and I don't think it would be an issue. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't think that would even be an issue. Like, oh my gosh, my daughter's gay. Like, I don't even. They're such good people. I don't think that would even be, it wouldn't even be a question. So yeah, I don't even think that would be brought up at the dinner table.
Well, that's
just
great. That's great. She's
Yeah,
fortunate to have those kind of parents, and because that was my concern, is that I was wondering, even though obviously they're supportive of her in the situation, I didn't know if they were accepting of her, all around, or just for this particular case or whatever. But that's great, wonderful. So yeah, so I do think obviously environment plays a huge role in it, obviously. So does anybody have any other comments before we go about this case? Anything you want to say?
You go ahead.
Go ahead, Erica.
I'm just curious that to be blatant, the law is the law, and we all know if any of us have been through any kind of trial, or even or have watched anything on the news, or it's hard to change the law. So we really need to try to figure out how to change it so that Kaityln doesn't have to, because it's pretty black and white. The American judicial system, it's pretty black and white. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? What do we do to get the movement going? Is it just by signing this petition? I mean, is it just by writing your legislature? I mean, what is the right recourse to this to really help her and change this so that this doesn't happen to anybody else?
Yeah,
my fear is we get caught up in the cause. What's the cause, and we're all
right.
going to talk about it. We really need to make a change. We really do need to.
Yes.
And how do you go about that?
I think it's mobilization. And mobilization, and yeah, you're right. People sometimes just get caught up in the cause itself and never actually achieve anything. But I think in this case, I think that it is what you said. I think it is because it obviously is a state issue. It's not like a one federal law thing. I mean, I guess people could actually lobby for a federal law. I don't know, but because it's a state law issue, you have to kind of mobilize people from different states into this cause and have them write the legislature, have them write their government, their governors, whatever, and try to make a change in the law in each state. I think it's the only thing you can do. But what specifically would that law say? Would it say what? It would say, what would that, that's my question, I guess. What would the law say?
Similar to what you said about the Texas law, or just even putting in the fact that they were in high school together. I mean, I don't think that you're allowed to be a certain age and be in high school, right? I think that there is a law that, once you turn 19, you can't be in high school. Is that right? You have to go to alternative school, or 20? Is there a
20?
You could be. you could be 20 and be in high school. See, I thought that there was an age gap. I could be wrong, but I thought that there was a certain age limit. So why is there that age limit? You know, it's like, well, then go off that. You know, if you can't be 20 and be in high school, then say, okay, 20-year-olds can't associate with high school students. But you can't put kids in a pod and expect them to learn together and be in classes together. This girl was in gifted programs and in the upper class, and you can't expect them to not mingle. They're they're all high school kids. They're all going through the same experience. My girl, I talked to my 16-year-old daughter, and I said, and she knows what's going on, and her heart's breaking for Kaityln. I said, I turned to her tonight. I said, Rylan, I said, do you see this at your school with boys or whoever? And she says, Mom, she goes, every freshman girl doesn't have a relationship like they had, like this girl Kaityln had. She said they're hookup buddies and their seniors are taking advantage. She goes, it's all over the place. She goes, if they came to my school and arrested the boys, half the school would be arrested and thrown in jail.
Exactly.
You know? And she said it's wrong, and she's 16 and she's a girl, and that's how she sees it.
I agree with her.
Yeah, I totally agree too. And the way I see it is, you know, all you really have to do is just amend the current law. The current law is fine as it is, except for a simple accommodation for those that are having high school flings, because technically, all high school relationships, because they're all minors, technically it's illegal. Yeah. If you really want to be,
if you want to be had sodomy. Right here, if you've had sodomy and you need to be arrested, because, I mean, it's just it's ridiculous.
In some states, sodomy is illegal. Sodomy, I think, is defined as any kind of sex that isn't a vaginal missionary position.
That's a lot of things, too, so.
Come arrest me.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people, too. Hell, I'd be guilty on several counts there.
I know. I mean, come on, people. It's ridiculous.
But come on. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. This is the 21st century.
We're
not living in Victorian ages.
Freaking sense.
But how do we take that ridiculousness and change the law? Because that's really what it's about, you know?
Well, yeah, I think the only thing you can do is to write. I mean, that's the thing, though. That's what upsets me is that the thing is that people who are representatives in each state, in the government, the federal government, whatever, you know, they represent the community, quote-unquote community, right? They're supposed to represent us and what we say we want. But a lot of times that's not the case. Unfortunately, the politicians get into the political side of things, and they do what they can to get reelected over and over to make a career out of politics. Mm-hmm. And so they don't really care what you want. And so it's really difficult to change things to some degree. But I think if you have enough people who are mobilized and people who actually want to have something change, they can make it happen. So it's certainly possible. And I think for the sake of people who have children and people who are planning to have children in the future, and you know, just people who are adults even, I mean, who are suspect to this kind of thing. I think that you have to think about that what's going to happen if you have a kid and they're 18 years old, they're dating someone who's 16 years old, and they go to jail because you didn't do anything about it. So I think we do have to do something about it for everybody's sake. So what they do, like you said, Erica, the question, I guess, is what to do, and I guess the only thing, my answer is only just to mobilize and to actually write your legislation. Do you have any better ideas?
It's just so frustrating. And the only reason that Kaitlyn's in this position is because these other parents are just they're hateful, and that's it. I mean, it's the only reason, you know. And it's like the bad luck of the draw, and it just sucks, you know. It's just so frustrating because we got to do something to change it.
Yes, you're right.
It's all what it is homophobia. It is plain and simple, because I'll tell you this now. If this were a heterosexual situation, if their daughter were seeing an older boy, I guarantee you that we wouldn't even be here having this fiasco in the first place, because because it would be in accordance with their beliefs. But all of a sudden, it's a girl. Oh no! My daughter will not be gay. I'll say it again.
And it's not, and they can't.
Your choice.
And that's false. Well, and that's false to them. That's a sin. It's dirty. It's false. So they don't want to say that my daughter is faulted or something's wrong with my daughter. So they put the blame off on, let's put the blame off on the other girl. You know, she made her this way. She turned her evil. It's all
right.
What? It's just it's shameful.
But that's just it, though. I mean, it's the problem. That's the problem, is that people are narrow-minded. Some people are narrow-minded. They're like, well, my religion says that God made the Bible. It is inerrant, and the Bible says it's evil. So common sense, by that logic, common sense says God doesn't make people gay.